Most people missed the importance of the Clarity Act going down. The Crypto Clarity Act that everyone's been waiting for, wanting for a while now, for a year or two now. I want a regulation. I want clarity on what's going on. And what this truly signifies on multiple levels. This is massive, and most people are missing this. Banks just flex their power in a way that tells you everything you need to know about how they see your money, how they see you, how they respect or the lack of respect for your time and energy. A bill goes down, it gets skewered, and suddenly the mask slips. Not because of what passed or what didn't, but because of who fought it and why. We're told this about clarity. It's consumer protection, regulation. But what it actually exposed is a hard truth. The old system cannot survive if people truly own their assets, if you truly own it in your own custody. And that's where this gets interesting, because courts have already ruled that code is free speech. That's something in this bill that is not being talked about as much. They are trying to re-adjudicate free speech, what speech is. Writing code is lawful, or if it's not, that you can't just regulate math out of existence. So we're in an impasse for multiple levels, and one of those being financial as well, we're about to get into. This is a stalemate that is incredibly bullish for Bitcoin. Incredibly bullish if you love freedom, if you're a freedom maxi. Truly a freedom maxi. This could not be more bullish. The banks need the old world. They need deposits that they can rehypothecate. They need your money trapped, slow, permissioned, leaky. Bitcoin breaks that. Only Bitcoin breaks that. And history tells us what happens next. Not immediately. People want, oh, Donald Trump wins. Game over, don't have to do any work. Oh, ETFs are here. Game over, don't have to do any work. Oh, Michael Saylor's here. Game over, don't. Oh, treasury companies, game over, don't have to do any work. This is not immediate. This does not happen cleanly, but inevitably it does. People will get hurt in the transition. I said for 15 to 20 years, things will absolutely get worse before they get better. Pain is coming for those on the Titanic still. If you are in US dollar denominated assets, you are going to get crushed going forward in the coming years and the coming decades. The only option is off in the lifeboat outside of the system, outside of the US dollar network. And please riddle me, what is the one protocol, the one system off of the US dollar Titanic? You can type it in the chat, answer it in your head, whatever you wish. People will be looking for an exit. When you realize that Titanic is going down, people will be looking for an exit. So today we're going to break down exactly what happened, why the banks reacted the way they did, and why this is just another chapter on why Bitcoin keeps winning quietly, relentlessly, and without asking for permission. We'll have a hard truth, a question to ask yourself at the end of this. So let's talk about this, what happened. The Clarity Act, been defeated this week, or at least going back into committee or a minor reset, I believe Tim Scott said, which we'll see here in a second, but the progress is stalled. The Senate Banking Committee postponed the scheduled markup vote this week due to last-minute opposition from Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, who withdrew support from this bill in its current form. This could not be more important. This is so important because so many people in Bitcoin and in crypto world have been waiting for this, thinking that if we just get the government on board. Well, I got a newsflash for you, Walter Cronkite. This is not Walter Cronkite. This is not how Bitcoin works. Now, I get if you're in the crypto world, hey, God bless. Good luck. You are in that system. You are in the SEC, CFTC world, and you are waiting with bated breath to see what in the world is going to happen, because there is nothing. You are on the Titanic still. Whether you think it or not, whether you like it or not, doesn't matter. Proof of work, not there for you. Scale, not there for you. Decentralization, security, all that, not there for you in anything but Bitcoin. So we have to act pragmatically and realistically with what's actually happening. And I don't agree with Brian Armstrong in much of what he says, but hey, 2 things can be true. 10 things can be true, right? You can hold 2 opposing opinions in your head at the same time. And Brian Armstrong, again, has told us a number of years ago, hey, if the government comes after me, I will give up the keys to the Bitcoin. Just letting you know. So I mean, God bless. He again told us, and he's been truthful of what he's going to do. I believe it's 13 or 14 of the ETFs, or 12 of the 13 ETFs are custodied at Coinbase. I believe a lot of Michael Saylor's Bitcoin is custodied with Coinbase. So there is a fault line here. There is a security issue that is on the horizon. But again, I don't want to digress too much from what is actually happening, but these are so incredibly important. And people have been waiting this for years. And what's not being talked about is incredibly important, and it's being missed. Coinbase's objection centered on key provisions, including a de facto ban on tokenized equities, whatever, just restrictions on DeFi, whatever, and amendments that would eliminate rewards on stablecoins. Okay, that's a little bit important. We're going to talk about that going forward. A feature critical to Coinbase's business model. This move triggered the delay as bipartisan support faltered. Now, what's crazy is how big and how much support and pull Coinbase has. That is just wild on its face. But remember, Larry Fink has told us before that tokenization is the future. We've heard this before. We've heard that Larry was pining ESG a number of years ago. And he's, it's going to be this. It's global warming. Then it's global cooling. It's global warming or cooling. Then it was global warming. Then it was climate change. And then it's energy usage. And Bitcoin's going to boil the oceans. Oh, now AI's here. So I'm sorry. Sorry. We need energy. We need a lot of energy, actually. And now you hear no FUD against Bitcoin boiling the oceans. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird how it just constantly changes every decade over the last 50 years, and people just seem not to notice. We aren't using our memory. How do we not, as humans, use our memory? What in the world are we doing? Despite the setbacks, Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott and other lawmakers insist the bill is not dead, calling the pause a brief reset to address concerns. The White House and other industry leaders, including Kraken and Galaxy Digital, have urged continued negotiations, yada, 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 while crypto markets have initially dipped. Okay, so this... The Clarity Act wasn't about clarity. It's not actually about clarity. This is about helping. This wasn't about helping users. This wasn't about protecting the consumer. It was about controlling custody. Controlling custody. Banks don't fear crypto. They fear self-custody. They fear Bitcoin in self-custody. The real threat isn't volatility. It's the exit. That's what they fear for many reasons. They frame it as, we want to protect the consumer. We are, we're doing whatever. We're Wells Fargo. I mean, like, they're doing a bad job because Wells Fargo's over here creating scam accounts for a number of years, right? Years. They're just creating scam accounts. JP Morgan's banking some of the worst people in the world. So that's totally fine. Nothing to see there. We got, what, gold and silver, the ETFs, the amount of short selling and paper. I don't even know. I should look up how many times JP Morgan's been fined for the silver short selling and the paper, the derivatives and things that are going on there and lying about things. So this is a world where they're telling you, hey, we're going to do whatever we want, and we might pay a few fines, a slap on the wrist, a couple $1 million here and there. We make billions, but you better know exactly what you did with $600. You better know exactly, dang it. So who benefits? Who benefits from this? Why does clarity always mean more intermediaries? I don't need it. I'm in Bitcoin. I don't need an intermediary. And why do these bills always have exactly opposite of what their actual intention is? The Inflation Reduction Act, Social Security, the Patriot Act. I mean, come on. So again, one of the things in this bill is that, and again, I'm not an attorney, but apparently they were trying to put in language that was talking about re-adjudicating what free speech is and what code is, and saying, well, there is some bad code and there's some good code. Well, we already know from the 90s, the cypherpunk revolution, that code is free speech. And therefore, all speech is free speech. So therefore, if all speech is free speech, then that means code is speech. Or we know code is speech, and it's already been adjudicated. So we know that, therefore, code is then free speech, because all speech is free speech. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not free speech. All speech is free speech. And if we can't, we're in a very problematic time in society, because we can't even, we're trying to change definitions of things. We don't even know what's up and what's down. And that's causing us massive problems going forward. And that's why we're having so many problems. And that's why we said, again, coming full circle, pain is coming. Pain is coming from those who are not right with the big guy above, and they're on the Titanic still. They're on the US dollar network. Good luck. But it's not going to be overnight. This is not going to happen tomorrow, most likely. But it does happen gradually, and then suddenly. So they're trying to create workarounds for what is happening here. So this is the legal aspect and the free speech aspect. And we're going to get to the monetary aspect in a second. So this is the part they're trying to trap you. They're trying to freeze you in the system. They're trying to lock you in this system that keeps you at bay, that doesn't allow you to get off the Titanic. They're pulling all the life rafts off the boat. They're cutting the cords and dropping all the life rafts into the ocean, and most people are still on board. Vast majority of humans are still on board. You can't ban math without banning thought. This creates a permanent ceiling on how far regulation can go, but they don't think so. They're going to try to round peg, square hole this thing. And if people believe this stuff, then it continues. So think about Keanu and Bill, still in prison. They're in prison right now for creating code, free speech, and they are in prison right now. They're not trying to outlaw Bitcoin because they can't. They're trying to delay adoption. They're trying to get in at better prices. Can't beat them, join them. And they're trying to delay adoption because if people can be bored, if they can be annoyed, if they can go away, if their will's broken, which we've seen with society, if you can break the society's will and distract them endlessly, then things don't get done. Then freedom does not reign. Freedom gets put in a suitcase, stuffed in a suitcase, and sent down the river. And that's exactly the playbook that's being used here again. Can we make this painful and agonizing enough that people forget and they walk away and they say, screw it, whatever, and break your will? But this impasse is the signal, and it's extremely bullish. Why nothing happening is actually everything. And again, a quick side tangent through history here. The government was designed to be incredibly small so that nothing got done. Anytime government's doing anything, bad things are happening. I mean, how many analogies and stories and euphemisms do you need to, hey, knock on the door. Yeah, I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Well, good luck with that. This is the constant state of government, and not the people, not a person inside the government. It's the collective people inside the government that makes up the government. Its natural end state is to continue growing, to grow itself. It produces nothing for society, and then it strips people from their freedoms and eventually collapses. That's the natural end state of all governments over time. It's not anyone's fault and not anyone's problem. There are people in the government that are very good people. And there are many people that went into government that were very good. Maybe they've faltered. Hey, we're all broken vessels. But because you get in the system that is designed to strip freedoms and rights and liberties and wealth away from people, you just think it's normal. Hey, I'm protecting the people. Just like we said earlier, I'm protecting the consumer. I'm protecting, yay. That's anything but what's happening. But when you're inside the blob, you can't see out. It's foggy. It's hazy. We can't understand what's happening. So doing nothing is actually great. And this is why, in the terms of Bitcoin and what's happening here, if Bitcoin were stoppable, it would already be stopped. These stalemates mean the power asymmetry is shifting. The banks see what's happening. They've known what's happening. They've been able to see what's happening. This is why, again, Wall Street greed and fear, we've talked about this many times as well. The greed side, they're trying to suppress Bitcoin's price so they can get in and buy Bitcoin at cheap prices. And then the fear side is they're doing things like this. Very obvious. For anyone who's paying attention, they are trying to stifle adoption. They're trying to stifle education. They're trying to FUD it, fear, uncertainty, doubt. Oh, it's boiling the oceans. It's doing X, Y, and Z. A system only regulates what it can't compete with and creates moats. It's not to protect the consumer. Why in the world would I need to be KYC'd and AML'd and all these things? Why would you need to know exactly what's going on? Again, we have the Minnesota tax fraud cases. We have JP Morgan Chase banking some of the worst people in the world. Wells Fargo scamming millions of scam accounts on their customers' deposit savings checkings accounts. What are we doing? But yet I have to see what I did with $600. And then on top of that, so the money aspect of this is what? You're getting paid less than 1% to hold your cash in the bank. So this is the monetary part, the financial part. Banks need the old world. Bitcoin ends it, right? So where the rubber really meets the road, the banks require deposits they can then leverage. They use your deposit. It's now not your cash anymore. You become a private money lender or a money lender, hard money lender, whatever you want to call it. You don't know that. And for an industry that's so regulated, that's like the one thing they don't have to tell you, the most important thing, which is, hey, it's no longer your cash, your money. You've given it to us. Now you're a lender. We're going to go do whatever we want with it. So they use that deposit, those deposits. There's forced trust, time delays. What are you doing with your own money? Why are you taking it out? Bitcoin removes all these things. So you go, you put it into a checking account, and then they give you 1% back or less. They give you 0.5% back. And then they go buy treasuries with it. They go gamble in the market. They might make 5% on a treasury. So they get the 5% minus, we'll just say 1% for easy math. They make the 4% spread. Then they go gamble more with that, right? They go use that and they go lever up. They go BlackRock. They give money to BlackRock, who goes and buys houses against us. I was in that world. I was in the real estate world. We would literally be bidding against, mom and pop real estate investors trying to literally get ahead in life and do something different and not have to be crushed by inflation. You're out there competing against BlackRock, against Blackstone. You're out there competing against these people using everyone's deposits and mom and dad's and grandma and grandpa's pension and 401ks. They're taking that cash and going and bidding up and buying tens of thousands of homes. Why is that? And again, now we have this world where government is the arson and the firefighter. So now Trump's over here saying, well, government shouldn't be able to buy the home, or BlackRock and Blackstone. They shouldn't be able to buy homes, and trying to cap that and do all this stuff. Institutional investors shouldn't be able to do that. Well, that's the free market. Again, they should be able to do that, but they shouldn't be incentivized to do that. They should be able to have and save money. They should not be forced to go into the market looking for a return because their money is eroding in value so much that they cannot find a return in their money. Therein lies the entire problem. So you have this world where the stablecoin part of it, these stablecoin issuers are saying, oh, hey, look, I'll take your cash, I'll buy a treasury with it, and I'll split the difference with you. If we're getting 5%, I'll give you, or 6% in a treasury, I'll give you 3% and we'll get 3%. And then the bank said, whoa. We don't want to do that. We can't have you doing that. That's ridiculous. So now we have a world, now it's bifurcated. Now, this is what's the beautiful part of all this is it doesn't happen overnight, but the education is now there. The bifurcation is now there. The split in the road is now here. We have a world that now you have CBDCs and slavery, or you've got Bitcoin and freedom. The choice is now radically clear and going to become clear, I should say. It's clear to us, but it's going to become clear for everyone going forward. Wait, I have to put the bank is telling me what code is, what free speech is, and they're trying to re-adjudicate things that have already been adjudicated. And now you're trapping me in this world where I can go over here and get 3% on my cash with a stable coin or whatever it is, some yield product, some ridiculousness. But over here, I'm stuck in the bank and I'm stuck without clarity, without regulation, because now I'm stuck in the Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, PNC, whatever it is. I'm now stuck getting 0.5%. So now the pain financially is going to be the opening for Bitcoin. Once again, we wanted these things easy. We wanted these things to happen very quickly, but it's going to be pain over time. And then it's gradually, and then suddenly. So that education is there. So now people like all of us can continue going forward, educating what's actually happening. You don't own your money in the US dollar. They can freeze it. Look at Russia. One of the biggest countries in the world, one of the most powerful countries in the world, had all their treasuries frozen. I mean, what are we doing? And we're over here having to tell what we're doing at $600. It's just clown world. It's absolute clown world. So we have a world that's completely bifurcated. And it's going to be the wake-up call that people need going forward to say, hey, wow, look, there's this actual option over here, Bitcoin, that I don't have to wait on banks. I don't have to wait on governments to tell me what I can or can't do with my money. Oh, and by the way, Bitcoin goes up 20, 40, 60, 80% a year, CAGR, compound annual growth rate. So now you have something where you're continually beating inflation. You're continually beating the other assets, the other businesses you could be starting, 99% of them. And I can just save money. A guy at McDonald's can do it. A doctor can do it. A business owner can do it. Doesn't matter. So this is a world that we are now entering because banks, and again, I have Brian DeMint's Bitcoin Evangelism book, which is a phenomenal book. And we have many things throughout history that have shown us exactly this phenomenon we're going through. It's a world where the incumbent power holders are very scared of the thing that's decentralizing, the thing that is disrupting them, the thing that is breaking them apart. This happened with electricity, right? The candle maker. All these people and electricity was very hard to use in the beginning, very hard to use. And people didn't know what to do with it. And then all these applications that now use electricity, and it's safe now to use, but we use electricity. People didn't want that in the beginning. They didn't want, the bicycles and the horse and the buggy versus the automobile. You guys know Netflix versus Blockbuster, Kodak, digital versus film. These things took years and decades to come about because the incumbent would create anti-propaganda campaigns, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD campaigns, right? We've all heard this. Internet, the same thing, right? Paul Krugman, oh, it's just the fax machine. It's never going to amount to anything. The printing press. Airplanes, right? Oh, in 1910, there was an article that said there won't be commercial cargo freight being carried in the skies. In 1911, the first cargo commercial airline took off. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, guys. You cannot make this up. This is a world we are living through. It's hard to see because we're in it right now. Go from first principles. Go check the first principles. So it's got to be something that can't be corrupted. It's an immutable ledger, decentralized, where no one can mess with it. Has the nodes, equally distributed power throughout the network. That is the first principles you need to go from. What protocol fits all that and then can handle the ledger of the world? That is where we're going. That's why it's been 17 years, right? We just crossed the 17-year birthday, the 17th birthday. And we are still going, TikTok, next block. And it's intermediate, or it's disrupting everything. It's disintermediating the banking system, the central banks, and they're scared as can be. But that's okay, because they win at the end of the day too. Those are people too. And they win as well. That's the beauty of this. It's a peaceful revolution. That's how this works at the end of the day. That's the beauty of all this. It's one of the coolest things ever. So again, this is the stage. This is the tweet I had. I don't even know when this was. Again, people are bearish because they're thinking of trading Bitcoin. They're thinking in short time frames. They are high time preference. Trump's talking about the $2,000 stimmy checks, 50-year mortgages, 15-year auto loans, rate cuts like crazy. The repo markets, going bonkers. Student loans still stalled. Like, you think those are coming back? Heck no. People are rioting in the streets. 38 trillion. We got $1.5 trillion budgets being, we just passed $1 trillion in military budget. And then now we have Trump a week ago saying, oh yeah, I want $1.5 trillion. And people think Bitcoin's going down. There is no top to Bitcoin. It is going to suck in all the BS of the world, all the fake Fugazis, all the US dollar currency units, all this garbage. It's going bye-bye. It's going bye-bye. And don't take that as for it's going to happen tomorrow. This is not doom and gloom. This is amazing. Can you imagine how mad you would be? Can you imagine how frustrating this would be? Can you imagine if we didn't have Bitcoin? If you didn't have something to a protocol to go to, a lifeboat to get off of, or to get on and get off the Titanic, the US dollar Titanic. Can you imagine that? I mean, seriously, think about that. I mean, we are so grateful and lucky to have a world that we have somewhere to go. We have a place to go. It's truly incredible to think about that we're alive at this time, that we get to witness this. So this is why they fight so hard to stop it and keep control. Again, you earn less than 1% on deposits. They earn multiples on treasuries and leverage, etc. They spread the funds, speculation, bailouts, bonuses, too big to fail. I mean, again, you can go through the history. We can go through the litany of all the who owns the banking system and the central banks and all the, it's all their family members and the people that run all these, a lot of the private equity, the banks. We know this. This is the system. This is what's being disintermediated. The horse was taken out of service. The horse doesn't have to plow the fields anymore, guys. Well, guess what? I don't need a bank to go to hold my cash for me, to hold my money. Number one, we don't even have cash anymore, right? They're taking the penny out of circulation, the nickel, the dime. Like, these things are going away. Number one, they printed way too much, and now it costs more than the actual thing itself. So they're all going bye-bye. They are gone. And you can't run. There's two types of money, ledgers and physical tokens. The gold and silver didn't work for 5,000 years. I was gold and silver guy. I was real estate guy and gold and silver guy. 15, 20 years ago, studied it. Hey, this is the greatest thing. This is the best. We got to go back to this. But the physicality of a physical token, right, is what doesn't allow it to move over space. You cannot have final settlement. The final settlement, the trade is the settlement in Bitcoin. It's the auditing system. Every 10 minutes, the system is the auditing, triple entry accounting. You don't have that in gold and silver. You can't have that. That is the problem. It's
not saying that gold and silver aren't good or they aren't useful, because they are. They have utility. Bitcoin has the ultimate utility. Bitcoin is the ultimate money. Bitcoin is the first money we've actually had globally. We actually do anything. It is the first true money because it's finite, infinitely divisible. It can have infinite amount of purchasing power in it. And that's what blows people's minds, because we haven't seen anything like this before. But I do believe Max Payne is going to be needed. Adoption comes from education, experience, and pain. Let's be real. People don't opt out until they're forced to. Regulation delays the learning process. It just does. Every freeze, every delay, or gate is Bitcoin marketing. Again, we talk about Justin Trudeau and how good of a marketer he was for Bitcoin. I mean, Justin was literally one of the best people in the world. Literally one of the best people in the world. It was amazing. We got to share this. We always share this, right? This is what is happening right now, and people can't see it. Most people won't, because like we just said, they have to be hurting. Most people have to be hurting. The pain to change has to be the pain to change has to be less than the pain they're currently experiencing. The banking system, governments, they want your cash stuck in the system and frozen and melting away until they say it's okay for you to take it out. Little boy, little girl. That's your time and energy. That's you. That's you being put back on the hamster wheel. Bitcoin increases your personal power and disintermediates the state. Bitcoin keeps winning because they can't do anything about it. So it's the fear and greed quotient of I'm going to suppress it, going to do ridiculous things because I want to get some. And then also at the same time, I'm going to regulate it. I'm going to legislate it. People believe the system that we're still in. Still, that's why the dollar has value. Because again, no amount of aircraft carriers or barrels to your head are going to do anything. When enough people lose confidence, 1%, 2% of society loses confidence in the dollar, which is coming. We all see it happening. Countries are losing confidence. They're leaving BRICS. People going to alternative currencies, going to Bitcoin. That's all people starting to lose confidence in the dollar. Well, at some point, that iceberg flips, the one that the Titanic hit, because it's melted enough and erodes, and then gradually, and then suddenly, boom, it flips. Hyperinflation. That's how hyperinflation works. That is hyperinflation. That's what hyperinflation is at the end of the day. No person, no permission, no committee, no waiting in Bitcoin. Freedom. A lot of people aren't ready for that freedom, though, yet. The pain hasn't been there. The education is not there. They don't think they're willing. They don't think they're worthy. A lot of people don't think they're worthy of that kind of freedom, of that kind of wealth. The real wealth, not wealth in USD terms, but wealth in freedom, the wealth in decision-making, the wealth of your time, of what's important to you in life. You don't need banks to allow ownership. You don't need regulators to bless math. You're a human being. We're human beings, for crying out loud. We don't need anyone telling us what we can or cannot do. That's not how this works. You have God-given rights. You are here, and we allow governments to do what they're going to do to us, to lord over us. Governments are only allowed to do what we tell them to do. Again, we've talked about the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence many times. Governments are instituted among men. Governments are instituted among men. Their power is derived from those people. That's in the Declaration of Independence. These are inalienable rights, self-evident truths. You don't need a teacher. You don't need the government telling you that, hey, my rights come, we give you the rights. No, these are self-evident. Every human being wakes up and says, this is self-evident. Like, I own my life. I get to do what I want as long as I'm not harming someone else, right? And we allow the government to have a basic set of rules and framework in order to, hey, if someone steps outside those crazy boundaries, those 10 different commandments, then you know what? You shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be stealing, and you shouldn't be killing someone. Okay, so we have a couple of laws in place that govern that the governments are there by our own premonition, by our own decision to let them adjudicate those things, right? And once it steps outside those boundaries, it's time to change. So that's what Bitcoin's here for. That is what this is. You don't need to trust anyone to hold your value. The system just showed us who it serves indirectly without saying a word. the very act of what is happening. And Brian Armstrong, who again, I don't trust him. I don't believe in a lot of the things he does and says. He was right on this aspect, and he pulled out for some of the reasons I don't care about and I don't think matter, but a couple of them did matter. Again, the legal side and also the financial side that we explained earlier. It's black and white. This is very easy to see, but most people are missing it. This is very important because what most people are missing is that bifurcation. This is great. Hopefully the Clarity Act doesn't pass. Hopefully it does not pass. I guess that's the punchline in all of this. It's great because now people can see, they keep waiting, they keep realizing, oh, government's not here to help me. Government's not going to do anything for me. This helps people in the crypto world realize, hey, what I'm doing, I'm really gambling out here. I'm really meme stocking, meme coining. I'm really out here gambling. It's not built on anything of value. It's a house of cards. I better figure it out. I better go study Bitcoin. These guys might have been right this whole time. And Bitcoiners, yeah, you're going to have to be a little more patient. You might have been right so far, but you're going to have to be more patient. You have to study some more. You have to go help some more people. Instead of waiting for Bitcoin to get to 1 million and waiting for an Omega candle, you know what? We're going to have to go orange pill 1 million people. We're going to have to go build a few companies. We're going to have to go do some things. So it's a wake-up call for everybody. And it's a good wake-up call. This is huge for Bitcoin in the long run. It is. It truly is. And it paints the options clear as day, black and white. Stay in the system and ask for your life at the bank's convenience and losing your time and energy slowly over time through inflation, then all at once through hyperinflation, or take matters into your own hands. Study Bitcoin, buy it or work for it, run a node, self-custody, and now you're free while defunding the corrupt fiat, legacy, debt-based dollar system run by governments and banks. Your move, Anon, your move. Well, I appreciate you guys. Great to see everybody here. Hat Boy. That's my rant for today. Just, I've seen a lot of talk last day or two about this, and I felt like people were missing some of these things. So I think it's important to talk about. Very important to talk about. And this is exactly the kind of moves that we need. Bitcoin going to 1 million tomorrow is not going to do anything. It's probably going to make people really mad. It's going to make people that, bought a little bit think, hey, I won the lottery. I can do whatever I want. So this is going to take time. And this is the exact kind of great bifurcation where people now have choices. This is the beautiful part. People now have clear choices of which way is it? Which way am I going? The banks trying to keep their old system. It's Netflix going to Blockbuster and saying, hey, we should, let's do this deal. And Blockbuster says, no, I'm good. Or Kodak denying the guy that came to him twice, the worker that said, hey, I have digital film, the digital camera. And they said, no, we got a great thing going. The people that denied, airplanes, air cargo, the people denied the automobile, the people that are denying, the taxi cab industry that was trying to stop Uber. You cannot stop an idea, an innovation whose time has come. You can stop it for a little bit. I should take that back. You can't stop it in the long run. You can stop it for a while. You can stop it for a day or a year or even a decade, maybe 2 decades, but you can't stop it forever. Eventually, science moves at the pace of funerals, right? As science advances one funeral at a time. And eventually more people get Bitcoin. They understand Bitcoin. And then they start getting wealthier. They start researching even more and they realize, oh my goodness, this changes humanity. People inside government start doing that. People in government, their family starts doing that. Then they start getting talked to by those people. This is how the multiplication effort works. Yeah, and I think it's since 1913, Astor Star, what you're saying too, I think it's literally 8%. I know Larry Lepard's Big Print talks about 8% since I think he was saying since 1971. I believe, but I think it's since 1913 as well. I believe if you extrapolate that out, it's been 8% of currency printing a year. So the markets go up 8% a year. All these numbers you hear, like Dave Ramsey or whoever, are like, oh, it goes up 8 to 10% a year. Yeah, that's the currency printing that's been going up 8 to 10% a year. You are just going sideways. If you divide central bank currency printing divided by those assets, you're going sideways. You are going sideways. Take the stocks, take the S&P 500 or whatever, but take the individual stocks, divide it by central bank currency printing, and you're going sideways. You are lucky if you're treading water. And that's probably if you're holding the basket of currency, or if you're holding the basket of stocks. If you're holding that, but if you're, heaven help you, if you're in individual stocks, I mean, you probably lost everything eventually at some point. If you're, especially 100 years ago or 80 years ago or 70 years ago, is your business still around? We just talked about Blockbuster going bankrupt. We talked about Kodak going bankrupt, filing for bankruptcy. These things will continue to happen. The world is being disintermediated by Bitcoin, because the very thing that everyone just assumed, oh, I'm studying discounted cash flows, I'm studying all these economics 101, 202 in school. Everyone assumed the input or the system, the protocol was sound, but it wasn't. So everyone just started on first base or second base, and no one asked the question of what are we going to war for here? Like, why am I studying about going to war, but I didn't study why are we at war? Why am I using my firearms and learning how to clean my gun and do all this and clean my weapon? But why are we even at war in the first place? Is this even necessary? That's the pseudoscience. That's the Keynesian pseudoscience that we are rapidly ending right now. It is rapidly coming to a close. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild time, but an incredible time. Like, wildly incredible time. Amazing time. S&P increased only 0.5% in Swiss franc currency and down 39% gold. I mean, that's another great thing too. Everyone knows the price. Mike Maloney's always said this. Everyone knows the price. People know the price of everything here in America, but they know the value of nothing. How do we determine value? We divide it by other things of value. So again, the currency, the US dollar, is a terrible way to value anything and find what's undervalued, overvalued, find what's actually happening. Because the denominator is always moving, right? They're always printing more, destroying more. It's quantitative easing, it's quantitative tightening. We don't know what's going on. You cannot measure in that. But we know if you measure things against Bitcoin, they're going down in value or down in price forever. So it takes less and less Bitcoin to get what you want, because it's finite, married perfectly to your finite time and energy. Energy and time and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is your time and energy. It's pretty amazing. Wish I would have thought of that. Chris, great to see you. So good to see you. Mr. Gentile streaming. Oh, I appreciate you. There are 10 billion ounces of gold underground. Yeah, and again, this is something that's important. I think it's so important to think about. So we just had this with silver and gold. Obviously, we're having it right now, where gold and silver are beautiful metals. They do wonderful things. There's great utility. I brought silver on here before, right? We've talked about this, but look what happens when silver goes up. When these metals with utility, when they go up in USD price, it now makes it more expensive for essential items. Now it's harder to find those things. So two things happen. Your costs go up in life, or they stop being made, which is even worse. And that brings you a lower standard of living. Either way, but especially if they stop being made, it's a lower standard of living. And then there's price equilibrium that comes eventually, because then people are incentivized to go mine more of it. To your point, there are 10 billion ounces underground. People are incentivized to go find more. And then the price comes back down. So now you're losing wealth. If you might gain a little bit if you're in gold and silver, if you're on that network, and then you start to lose again because they mine more and the price comes back into check. This will continue happening over time. Not to mention that, again, like we said, you can't have physical coins with final settlement unless we're standing next to each other. You can't do this in a global economy. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. It's clear as day. However, none of our day or none of our life in government-run schools or in legacy media or pop culture talks about any of this, right? It's anything but that. It's very easy. Like Bitcoin seems crazy when you don't understand it. It seems obvious once you do, right? All these things seem very obvious once you do, but I would opine that it's just a lot of the distraction of life, being on the hamster wheel, and then the mass distraction of commercials, literally commercials, and then commercial entertainment, and then legal and illegal drugs, food, everything that, again, we won't go down those rabbit holes, but they make you more reticent to say anything, to speak out, to actually pay attention, to actually see what's going on in the world. So it's a sad state in a sense, but it's also, we are very hopeful, and it's an amazing time because we actually have an answer. We don't have to think, oh, I have to go back to gold and silver, like, hey, that is somewhat of an answer, but then we know eventually it's going to come back around, that it'll expire at some point, and then we'll reset and come right back to where we were again. We now have coin clipping and the coins being melted down, and we have fiat claim checks, USD paper currencies being built on top of this system, this credit system, that will continue perpetuating the same cycle over and over again. We now have an answer for the first time in human history. The Bitcoin network solves the problems that we've never been able to figure out before. Boomers telling us to work harder. Yeah, that deserves an LOL. That's for sure, Astro Star. That's for sure. And it's funny because, like, yeah, are they right? This is what's tough about life, in my opinion. The nuance, right? We lose nuance because we don't really sit down and talk to each other anymore. We don't have neighbors. We don't have community. So younger generations have seemed lazy because they just quit. The quiet quitting, the outright quitting, jumping jobs. You're forced to do these things because you can't actually save your money. It's not worth anything. So you have to go keep finding new jobs. And then most people just quit. They're just like, yeah, screw it. This is dumb. I'm not doing this anymore. And we've been forced to do that. So yes, to the boomers, they look at it and say, why aren't you trying harder? Like, you need to get up and do something. But again, what they don't see is, hey, our money isn't what your money was when you were growing up in the 60s and the 70s. It doesn't, it's, even the 70s, it wasn't like that anymore. But the inflation impact was, I mean, there's inflation there, but they're starting from a much different place than where we were starting when we grew up, obviously. So there was already a lower cost of things, even though there was inflation, right? So the costs were already much lower considering. So that's the thing, that the nuance. Two things can be true. Do people need to work harder in a sense? Yes, but people are sitting around saying, why would I work? Why should I work? When again, maybe you guys have seen that article of My Life is a Lie by Mike Green, which, by the way, we'll be interviewing Michael Green in a month or two. We're going to talk about that article about poverty line being $140,000 a year in income. We're going to talk about that because it's that gap he talks about from 40 to 140,000, I think, or something like that, where under 40,000 you have a lot of benefits from the government, and then you get up to 140, and that's like the old line from like 50 years ago, what poverty used to be, inflation adjusted, is 140. But again, if you're in 40 and under now, you have all these subsidies from the government. But as soon as you leave that and you're like, oh, I got a $20,000 raise to 60 grand. Well, now you lose all these subsidies, and now your cost of life and just participating in life is now like 70 grand. but hey, like, I got a $20,000 raise and I'm making 60. Well, you're still losing. You keep losing even harder. So you're incentivized to stay in poverty, or in nominal poverty. And then unless you can get a $140,000 job or above, there's no point. A lot of people are just like, yeah, I'm quitting. Screw it. I'm done. I'm checking out. So it's wild. Absolutely wild times, but incredible times. Absolutely incredible times. Randall, great to see all you guys. Digital Lark, extra special live. Yeah, sparkly horns. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Stocks are paper too, Chris. They print whatever they like. Yeah. 100%. And you can't take ownership of them. It's a completely upside down world that's coming to an end, but it's life cycle. This is how life works, right? Like, this is not something to be scared of. It's joyful time because we have the answer to it. And this is how life goes. So it's to be expected. What is the solution for avoiding a taxable transaction when using Bitcoin? For example, my weekly $200 food bill. I mean, again, I'll tell you guys, I'm a real estate guy. And so I the current system is a debt-based system, the financial system, right? So using debt to your advantage is, I mean, that's what Sailor's doing, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. Sailor's using tons of debt. Those who have debt win at the end of the day. I think this is the Hugo Stennis trade, right? Where he took out all kinds of debt, bought a ton of gold and silver with it, and became like the wealthiest guy in Germany in the 20s or around that time. So this is that debasement trade, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So I'll say this too, like, in a couple of years, we might have Gavin Newsom as president, right? So we're going to have unrealized gains, taxable, unrealized tax on the capital gains, on the gain of your investment or whatever it is. Well, one way to not have any gains on that is to have all debt on your assets. Now, is this for everybody? No. Is this going to be easy? Maybe, maybe not. Is it going to be, a balancing act? Yes. So there are different things going on that you can do to say, hey, I don't have any gain. There is no gain here because you stripped all the equity, all the equity out of the asset. So now there's nothing to be taxed on. And this is how the wealthy have played the game for a long time. This arbitrage trade, right? If you have like Elon Musk, people think like, oh, he's worth whatever, 300, 500 billion dollars, whatever it is, right? People think he's got that sitting in his bank account. Like I guarantee you, if you asked 100 people, 99 of them would say, yeah, he's got it in his bank account somewhere, or a couple of bank accounts. He probably has almost nothing in his bank account. It's all in stock, right? But he lends against his stock all the time. So he takes out loans against his stock, just like you would take a loan out on your house, take a loan out on your Bitcoin, or whatever it is. And this is something that, again, I'm going to be very careful to promote doing this. Everyone's different. Everyone has different skill levels. Everyone has different abilities. But this is the master trade that the wealthy are constantly doing. So I'm not saying you do it. I'm not saying anyone do this, but this is what the wealthy do. They are constantly taking their assets and they are stripping the equity out of it and using that debt, because it's not taxable, right? Debt is not taxable. So debt is not taxable. So they use that debt to go buy other assets generally. They're not using it to like buy a sports car or something like that, like a liability, but they go use that equity they stripped out and they go buy other assets. They leverage up. So what did Elon do? I think you guys probably remember. He took a bunch of loans, or a huge loan or two, whatever it was, on his Tesla stock or SpaceX or whatever it was. And then he bought Twitter with that, or a bunch of that with Twitter. And then he used other debt. Like he used none of his own money in a sense. He used debt from one of his companies that he had, taking the shares and loaning against it. And then he raised a bunch of money from Morgan Stanley or whatever it was. I can't remember the exact trade or the exact purchase, but that is a way to push it down the road. And that's basically what America is doing. America keeps taking out debt, and they're going to just run that into the ground until the system resets. And there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of humans that run that system into the ground. They're just going to keep the price of your house goes to 100, and then 200, and 500, and then you strip out 400 of that, and then it goes to $1 million, and then you refinance it for 800,000, and then you pay back that old loan, and now you have $800,000 loan, then it goes up to 2 million, and that cycle just repeats. This is literally the wealthy playbook. It's not something that we talk about much here. This was my old real estate life, and we try to just say, hey, let's study Bitcoin, let's educate on Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, put it in self-custody, do the important things, which again, I appreciate you guys. I've had numerous people reaching out. I appreciate you checking out the sponsors and talking about that, whether it's the Crowd Health, the Meanwhile, the Stamp Seeds, Foundation, stuff like that. Like all these Bitcoin-centric companies with the freedom ethos to actually build a circular economy. It's the only way out of this. It's the only way out of this. And I try to support shows. I went to all these people to support the circular economy. And so I went to them, and it's helping build this circular world where we'll eventually build a life raft and link these life rafts together and eventually become something bigger. So anyway, I hope that answers your question, Hathaway. Again, it's not something I'm going to tell anyone else what to do. I can tell you what I do. I can tell you what I used to do. I can tell you, other worlds or how the wealthy are doing it or whatever, because that was my life for 15 years. I was studying everything macro and all the rich dad, poor dad, and all these worlds, and then doing it myself. And so that is a world that a lot of people are taking advantage of, but you have to be careful. Obviously, you don't want to get yourself into a crazy leverage situation, especially with your Bitcoin. So if someone did that, just be very careful. Take very low amounts of leverage on it. And there are more options. And again, this is we're in this weird middle ground of like, there are not a ton of options. Like, it's just like electricity coming out, and it's like burning people and shocking people because they didn't know how to cover it. It wasn't even covered initially. So now that's this world where like now we have electricity everywhere, and it's easy, and it's not shocking people and starting fires all over the place. So it's going to happen with Bitcoin as well. There are going to be many ways to do this. And yes, to your point, Chris, Bitcoin should fix this. You're right. And this is the thing Simon Dixon's been talking about. And look at him. He started going down the rabbit hole of different things and Bank to the Future 15 years ago and 20 years ago. And then he made some mistakes, and he's like, hey, learn from my mistakes. Like, just buy Bitcoin, be patient, and sit back. And the value, all of his Bitcoin is what's funded all of his ventures at the end of the day. And the growth of that Bitcoin, the growth in the value is what's funded his lifestyle, but also funded the ventures. And I think that's what will bring this all together. The next epoch, I believe the next 4 to 8 years, is going to be massive, explosive growth on the Bitcoin circular economy and the products, the services, everything, because there's enough Bitcoiners with enough amount of wealth that are going to start, because the first 5, 6, 7 years, those people are billionaires, first 4 or 5 years of Bitcoin. A lot of those guys, I'm going to blanket statement, like they got into it. A lot of them, they either don't know their coins, they lost them, or they are kind of like checked out and like, hey, I'm good. Like I won the lottery. Like great. And sure, good for them. But everyone else in the Bitcoin after 2015, 16, 17, everyone else has got in after that. You still need to work and provide income and build your assets, because we're probably never going to be billionaires, right? But maybe you're a 100 millionaire, but maybe you're 10 deca millionaire. But even at that, a lot of people will still need to work. You're still going to want to work. I think a lot of people want to work. They'll want to see a better future. They'll want to make sure the future is there for their children and their grandchildren. And so you're going to have, in my opinion, this world where this next 4 to 8 years is going to increase enough people's wealth so much that they're going to be pouring back into this world, running for office, doing these things, funding their own campaigns, building their own companies, funding other companies. Look at 1031, Marty Benton, Matt Odell. Look at Ego Death with Preston Pish and Jeff Booth, and go down the list. There's going to be more of these funds that come up, and then more investment into companies. There's going to be more companies being innovated and invented. This is the world that we are coming to very quickly, and it's going to come in the next handful of years. So that's what I'm incredibly excited to see, because I've been wondering for a while, like, where is everybody? Where are all the inventions? Where are all the innovations? But it's coming. It's just not in the timeline you think it's going to. I mean, you kind of look around and say, hey, we're all, why is Jack Dorsey, coming up every couple of years with these huge innovations at Bitcoin, and where are all the other ones? And there are some, right? I'm not going to blanket broad brush and say there's not anything, but we should have more, in my opinion. But we're an epoch or two behind. I think it's coming, but it's going to come in the next epoch or two, as enough people have enough amount of wealth, and they need and want to give back more still. That's going to be this evolution that I think we're about to go into. Yeah. It's so true, Chris. People failing all over the place. It's so true. War paint. I would expect to get robbed at night, but we're all being robbed at broad daylight. Oh man, so true. It's so true. I do that trade, 40% of my holdings, but it does cross me over to the fiat world. I'm in for both now. Yeah, and again, everyone, at the end of the day, don't let anyone make you feel bad about what you need to do for yourself, though, right? As Bitcoiners, we can tend to get very Puritan and say, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this. At the end of the day, everyone has to make their own decisions for their own family and survive. The only goal is to survive and be standing and have breath. Again, in terms of Bitcoin adoption and Bitcoin winning, I'm talking about, but being there and surviving at the end when the nation states are collapsing or whatever it is, outlasting your government, right? As we say. So be there when the music stops and grab that chair. Whatever you need to do in order to do that, that's what needs to happen, because we need to rebuild the world. We're going to need to rebuild the world. So however you need to go to get there, do it in ethical manners, things of that nature, right? Do it the right way. But taking a loan in your Bitcoin or whatever it is, you do you. Everyone's got to do themselves. Everyone has to do their own thing, and don't let Bitcoin Puritanism get in the way of that, and don't let the memes get in the way of that, right? It's people, a lot of the memes, as you guys know, they cut both ways. They're great for people not in Bitcoin, but they don't always work well for people that are already in Bitcoin and they understand Bitcoin. Right? So never sell your Bitcoin is great, and when you're just learning Bitcoin and people are just being introduced to it, but that doesn't totally work when we're trying to build a circular economy. So once you get Bitcoin, like, we're never going to sell our Bitcoin, sell it, but I'm going to trade it for other assets. I'm going to buy a coffee with it. I'm going to do things like I can work for it. I can do these different things, but a lot of the memes are there for the normie, for the NPC, for the pre-coiner, the no coiner. They're there to get people in the door, to break their mind and break their context, and then shift it. And then once you've shifted, you can start putting different content in your head and understanding, hey, this is the best form of money I could ever have. But at the same time, we do need to build a circular economy. So how do we do that? We buy products, we support businesses. That's why, we talk about the different products and services that we have in the description of our show, and the partners that we have, the sponsors that we have, because we need to build a circular economy, but more importantly, because it gives you the freedom, the self-custody, the wallet, the stamp seeds, like all these things. They are intricate links and integral parts of the system that we need, and that's what's going to run this system for as long as we want it to. At the end of the day, as long as we want it to. So, Bitcoin Sessions has really great tutorials, new Bitcoin technologies coming out. It's exciting. Yeah, Ben's been amazing for a decade now. I mean, if you guys want to see stuff, incredible stuff he has. Incredible stuff. He's always had incredible stuff. Wonderful guy. we need more like him that are doing stuff like that. So if you have an inkling of doing things like that, do it. We need more people reviewing stuff, doing that, getting in that game, and being a voice for the education side. So it's a lot to do, a lot of work to do, but it's amazing because we actually have the answer. We actually have the answer. It's not always being talked about. It's not always in plain sight. It's not always in the middle of the day. Like we were just saying, sometimes you think it's me at night, or sometimes you think it's me during the day, and it happens opposite. Sometimes you think you're going to get robbed at night, but you really get robbed during the day in broad daylight. Well, in this case, a lot of these things are happening in broad daylight. Again, the Clarity Act, the things we talked about, they're happening in broad daylight. The Genius Act, they want to pump the treasuries out there, trying to kick the dollar can down the road. The 50% or the 50-year mortgages and the 15-year auto loans, these things are all coming because the dollar is backed by zero. It's not backed by anything. It's not backed by the aircraft carrier. Like, stop saying this crap. It's not backed, like, it's backed by confidence. Like, it's backed by confidence. So how many more people are going to leave the network because they have no confidence in the system? Again, we can try to keep going around the world and beating people over the head with our aircraft carriers, but good luck. Good luck. That only works for so long. And so at the end of the day, it is until it isn't, right? It's backed by the aircraft carrier until it isn't. And people just have a hard time seeing that. And we all do. I was there too. I was a real estate guy and gold and silver guy and hockey player for a long time. A hockey player for 15 years, played professionally for a few years, and then was gold and silver guy and real estate guy for 10 years, for a decade. And it was a great world. But then you see Bitcoin and you can't unsee it. You have to put your energy and time into that because you see the insane craziness, the unrest, and you realize, if I'm not putting my energy into this thing, then what am I doing? What am I doing at the end of the day? I see the answer to the economic cancer and the political cancer and all these things going on, but I'm not putting my time and energy into that. I couldn't. I felt too hypocritical. But that's me. Everyone's different, right? And that's why you guys are here. That's why we're here. Wisteria, appreciate that a ton. Really appreciate that a ton. That means a lot. I know I'm not the craziest one then. And I appreciate you guys because I've told my story before a little bit. Like I thought that I was alone for a long time, in a sense of like alone, just like, hey, there's not many people in the world that think like this. And I didn't find Bitcoin Twitter until 2021, I think, 2021 or 2022, somewhere around there. And I was on all the other platforms and I wasn't active on Twitter. I stopped politically in like 2010, 2012, somewhere around there, because I was just sick of Twitter. It was just political BS, red versus blue, whatever. And so I stopped and I was on Facebook, Instagram, all the other jazz because I was building my businesses, my fiat businesses. And I didn't get back on Bitcoin Twitter until 4 years ago, whatever it is, or right about that. And so I realized, wow, there are a lot of people out there that think like me and they get it. They see what's out there. So I just appreciate you, Wisteria, Chris, Ali, everyone, Hatboy, Astrostar, Warpaint, Sparkly Horns, so many, Digital Lark, Randall, so many people that come in here, and I appreciate you guys, watching the pods. We had a great response with the Doomberg pod, and I've been having people on that are traditionally, only Bitcoiners because the last 2 years I think we've lost the narrative a little bit, in my opinion, lost the plot a little bit, and just kind of sitting back and waiting for everyone else to do our heavy lifting. So it's trying to slightly break through the Bitcoin echo chamber to a degree, and because there's definitely one there with the algorithm, so to speak, right? So I've been trying to get people on who, Alan Hibbard or Kim McGregor or Doomberg, and we're gonna have some like I'm recording with Samson here. I'm supposed to today, but we're gonna have some stuff going forward here with Samson coming up, Matt Prusek, Mel Madison. So people that are hardcore Bitcoiners, and then some people that are kind of in between. Recorded with the Club Orange guys, Brian Dement and Matteo Pellegrini today. So that was awesome. Torp, what's good, man? Good to see you. And so we're gonna, this year's gonna be fun because we've got a lot of, we got Caitlin Long coming on in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, recording with. We have a lot of different people that we're recording with in the sense of hardcore Bitcoiners, Bitcoin insiders, but then also people that are in the middle. There are maybe, some people that are kind of around the spectrum a little bit, just so we can get some different viewpoints as well. Because my goal is to try to have everyone, see some, slightly different viewpoints, idealism versus pragmatism, things of that nature. And where are we, and kind of checking ourselves. So that will be fun. Tony Yazbek, obviously, like we just said, was a good one there. I had a really good response on that one. Doomberg, like I said, I'm trying to think. The last couple pods have been really fun. Cameron McGregor, Seb Bunny. So again, a phenomenal Bitcoin educator. And Alan Hibbard, Andy Schoonover, CEO of Crowd Health, amazing guy, former Wall Street guy, created Crowd Health, decentralizing healthcare. I mean, like Bitcoiners are doing the most amazing things in the world. Joe Consortium, Neil Flesher, who wrote this phenomenal book, former Apache pilot, and an amazing guy, wrote Modern Chains, and about Bitcoin being the answer to the moral and ethical dilemma we find ourselves in with the money we use in our society and economics. So just amazing people, a lot of fun people coming up. We're going to continue doing these live streams. We'll continue doing a few of these a week, probably a handful a week. We'll do some quick ones, some car ones, here and there, some like quick hitter ones. We'll do some kind of longer ones like this, kind of sitting down. We'll also do a couple podcasts a week. So it's gonna be a fun year. It's gonna be a big year, guys. Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you, Wisteria. I really appreciate those kind words. I appreciate that you think I was doing an exceptional job of communicating all this, because I'm usually not the greatest at communicating. I appreciate you. That means a lot. My boomer uncle is really into Doomberg. Those guys don't really say anything that's politically incorrect. Yeah. So Doomberg is an interesting one. It's got a really good response too. And again, it just shows you the sign of the times too. Like Bitcoin content in general is down, like across the board on YouTube. It's being suppressed on X. People have even come out and said, "Oh yeah," at least from what it looks like, and saying that they're suppressing the content on X, on YouTube. All the Bitcoin content's kind of down across the board. Like I see all the creators, and it's all down. All the views are down everywhere. Obviously, price is part to do with that, but I don't know if they're doing stuff in the background. Like the last 3 or 4 interviews that we've had on our channel were all above average. Like if you guys ever seen the back of YouTube, they give you like green arrows, or like a bright green arrow up, or like just a green check mark if it's like average, or if it's a down gray arrow. And usually if it's like above average and like the green arrow's up in like all their big metrics, the video takes off. And that was happening to our channel a lot this year, right? A lot of the people we interviewed would have tens of thousands of views, all green arrows up. Well, now we've like the last 3 or 4 of the last 5 interviews have all had the green arrows up, and still like the videos won't take off. Like they hit like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 or whatever views, and then it just plateaus and just cuts off. So it's just a fight that us Bitcoiners fight, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. And I'm sure I've talked to numerous other Bitcoin creators, same thing, since like August, September. And I've seen a lot of things with YouTube as well. They've been changing things in the back end. A lot of creators have complained about stuff just across, not just Bitcoin, but like across the board. And I think they're promoting a lot more shorts now, it seems like. So I think that's part to do with it. But at the same time, again, it's odd with Bitcoiners. Like we're always getting hit. Like the Bitcoin community is always getting hit. Again, this is the whole point of this video today. The banks, they're going to do everything they can to keep the old system. It's just a fight that we have to fight. We have to continue plodding along, educating, studying, and we will get there. We will absolutely get there. It's inevitable. What's inevitable is that Bitcoin is just code, and then government will continue to print into oblivion, and people will continue to get more pissed off and more frustrated, and more chaos and unrest will happen. So that therefore makes Bitcoin inevitable, because if Bitcoin keeps running, you can't stop it. And then these things happening over here, the currency keeps collapsing, they keep printing because they have to, and there's more unrest because of that printing. Then naturally, if people are continuing to plod along, and we're there, like I said, at the end of the day, we have a breath at the end of the line, and we can continue educating, we continue keeping up with what we're doing, then therefore people will find us. People will find Bitcoin, right? So that's the hope. That's the beauty of this and what we're doing, is that we just have to continue fighting, period, end of story. So the student will appear, right? Or the teacher will appear and the student's ready, right? So that's where it is. So the Doomberg, I mean, if you guys didn't see the Doomberg asset, I'm going to jump off here in a quick second. So go check out the Doomberg interview if you guys who haven't. It's a really good interview. It talks about just surviving the fourth turning, which is awesome. The Tony Yazbek one and the Cameron McGregor. The last couple we did, in my opinion, are some of the best podcasts we've done in a long time, to be totally honest with you. The last handful, last like 5 or 6 actually, just because of the guests. The guests were phenomenal guests, and they're under the radar. They're not guests that you're going to see on like every Bitcoin educators or Bitcoin content creators pod. So the last like 5, 6, 7 people are phenomenal people. They gold and silver people, but they get Bitcoin. Doomberg gets Bitcoin, but he doesn't. He again he is older, and so like I can't say he totally gets it, I guess, right? Or else he'd probably be buying Bitcoin. But he's more of the pragmatic sense of don't be a whistleblower and don't be a martyr. I'm not here. I'm older, so I don't want to rock the boat, and I'm not going to prison, like stuff like that. Which, hey, to each their own. Gold and silver guy, energy guy. I know he gets Bitcoin from some of those perspectives, and he even says in there, I got a lot of Bitcoin friends. I want to see them do well. I get it in the sense of like, I think it could be the solution to the system type of thing, but he's just like, hey, I just think it's going to be a tough road. And he seemingly, I don't want to put words in his mouth, not up for that fight, which again, everyone's got their own path. Everyone's got their own taste for chaos. So let's just say that. And they have their thing. He's got his thing with Doomberg and what they do in the newsletter, and he rocks it. So I just want different perspectives on, and I want to, who knows, maybe we can talk to some of these people and they can be out of their echo chambers too. You never know. Tony is awesome. Yeah, Tony and the Bitcoin Way are some of the best people. And again, that's the last one. Soap Miner as well. Soap Miner, amazing. Tallow soaps, some of our plugs to our sponsors, and the Bitcoin Way. So if you have questions with setting any of these things up, the nodes, the VPNs, the self-custody, the Bitcoin Way guys, you got a free call in there, 30-minute free call, all that stuff. You can get sats off, dollars off on all the different links down there. So I appreciate you guys a ton supporting the show. Really, really appreciate you guys a ton. And it means a lot because can't do this alone. It cannot do this alone. It's going to be all of us. That's for sure. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Doomer does not promote the hardest asset though, Bitcoin. So, they don't totally get it, but again, we talked about in the episode, it's, the visionary world versus the pragmatic world. His pragmatic world is gold and silver. Everyone in the world has it. The central banks have it. So like, that's the obvious short-term thing. So that's kind of where he lands, it seems like. And Bitcoin is the thing where he's just not into like, hey, I'm going to be the one grabbing the musket and like pulling society forward. That's just not his thing. So thanks, Esther Star. Appreciate you guys. Go check out, like I said, I would love your guys' thoughts on the Doomberg episode or Tony's or Cameron's, the last couple, and even Seb's too. Phenomenal people. We will see you guys possibly this weekend. Got a lot going on, but we'll definitely have Matt Prusek this weekend, either tomorrow or Sunday. Matt Prusek episode, talking a little about Trump, American Bitcoin, the mining. Really interesting show as well. And we had a really good talk for an hour. So I think you'll really enjoy that one. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Go check those out. We'll see you on the next one.